Hi everyone, welcome back. I wanted to show you one of the newest additions in our greenhouse for this year, and it's actually a mini greenhouse inside of our big greenhouse. I'm going to be using that mini polyethylene greenhouse for my seed starting. Now, if you've watched some of our videos from last year, you'll see that we did have a similar setup that we made out of greenhouse plastic and some PVC pipes that we had kind of just lying around. So we took that and created kind of our own polyethylene greenhouse kit from what we had on hand. And it worked out pretty well. But by the end of the season, it was kind of wonky and kind of falling down. So this year I invested in a 6x4x6 greenhouse that I got off of Walmart. So I want to show you how I have it set up, and maybe this might be something useful for you for starting seeds in your greenhouse, or even if you're starting them in your basement, in your house, or anything like that, because it gives you a nice space to contain all your seedlings that you are starting indoors. So what I have here is a portable polyethylene greenhouse. So the dimensions on this one are 6 feet long, 4 feet wide, and just over 6 feet tall. You can see that there is a door. It's a dual zipper door right here. This one I found on Walmart, but I also found it on Amazon as well. It was about $45 to $50, and it was pretty easy to set up. It does come with this polyethylene cover, which polyethylene is really good for greenhouse plastic because it's has good light transmission, and it's a pretty effective heat insulator as well. So that's why you will commonly find polyethylene used for greenhouse plastic. This particular portable greenhouse did come with shelving on one side. So this shelving stands about 29 inches tall. And what I did is I just took leftover wood that we had, and I decided to make kind of a flat shelf. It kind of gives me a nice flat surface to put any seedling trays on or anything like that. And the one reason I did like this particular size is it gave me the ability to put in my own shelving. These are the shelves I've been using for my seedlings, and I was able to fit them in. Now, it is a little tight in there, as you can see, but I don't mind as much because that's a smaller space to have to heat. In the end, it'll be a bit more efficient. And I can still get in there and work around with any plants and do anything I need to do in there, like watering. It still is roomy enough to be able to do work in there. Now, when it came to like the reviews of the greenhouses, there's so many reviews out there that are talking about it gets knocked down by the wind, it's not sturdy enough, and I cannot really attest to any of those reviews because the purpose I'm using this for inside the greenhouse protects it from any of those elements. So wind, thunderstorms. I didn't really care about those reviews when I was picking out this greenhouse because I didn't have to worry about it. The only thing I was really worried about was, is it the right size? Is it going to be efficient for retaining heat at night? Is it going to fit where I have my insulated foundation for this inside my big greenhouse? Down on the bottom, I have a 4x8 piece of rigid foam board insulation. And I've actually had that down since last year. It's the R10 2-inch thick piece. So you can usually find that at Home Depot or any big box store like that for like $45 or so. And I have covered that with reflective insulation barrier. So that's kind of like that shiny metallic looking covering, right? So that kind of helped to protect the foam board insulation and give it some reflective quality as well. I have that down to kind of help insulate because right now we only have rock down for our greenhouse flooring, which we have to fix because this is an issue for losing heat in our greenhouse. but that's for another video. As for the flooring in here, again, I used what I had, but what I had was these concrete cap blocks. So these are about $3 a piece, okay? And as you can see, I kind of went down the whole length. Right here, I've got 2 rows because that's what I had. And it just goes all the way down. I also just happened to use these kind of landscaping bricks to fill in some gaps because I had them on hand. It's not perfect right now, as you can see. I have some gaps here and there. But for right now, it's working. And it gives me a good flooring. It gives me some, like a sturdy flooring. It's also concrete, stone. You know, I'm hoping it retains some heat from during the day to help, you know, release at night and keep at least the bottom portion of this portable greenhouse a little bit warmer. Down on this side, I did just put some cinder blocks. I have currently like 5 cinder blocks just kind of lined up along the edge here. And that was just to give myself a barrier because the portable greenhouse itself is 4 feet wide. And this piece of foam board insulation is exactly 4 feet wide. So I was cutting it really close with the width of this greenhouse. So I just buffered it up with some cinder blocks to help hold it in place, sturdy it up, and also help keep the polyethylene cover kind of nice and tight down at the bottom there. As for my heating element, I used this last year and it worked very well and very efficiently. What I have here is a digital electric oil-filled radiant portable heater. This has a digital thermostat right here and controls and modes. This, I think I got off of Amazon last year for about $70. And it does have a couple different modes. It has 600, 900, 1500 watt and eco modes to it. Okay, so you can change the different modes that, you know, however you want to use it. And it has a tip over protection. So some built-in safety precautions to it, which is great. And this particular one goes from 40 degrees to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. This worked beautifully for me last year for heating a similar sized portable greenhouse area. So I have it right on top of these concrete cap blocks. So it is sturdy in there. It's in a safe space. I try to keep it dead center inside the greenhouse. So the heat is kind of central in there. I don't have it close to anything where, you know, there could be a safety hazard. It really, really works well for heating just this small area for my seedlings. Inside here, you'll see on top of the extra shelving that I put in here, I do have more boards that I laid flat. So that way, if I'm sliding seed trays in, they're not getting hooked up on the shelving wire here. So it's a nice flat area for me to put my trays on. And you can see here, I have all of my seedling germination heat mats set up. And I have the lighting hung so I can adjust the height as needed, depending on the growth of whatever seedlings I have growing on that shelf. The lights that I have hung in here, they're either 4 feet or they're 2 feet long shop lights. And all of them are super bright white. They're not special grow lights whatsoever. So I bought these probably 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they've been doing very well. I just have them hung how I can fit them in, and I try to space them out evenly, as you can see here. And that way I evenly distribute all the light for all the seedlings. They are linkable, so at the end of each light, I can link one to the next, just like that. And then they come with, you know, a power switch here that you can just switch on and off. So any that are connected together will go on with just one switch like that. Now, once the weather warms up a little bit more, come April and May, I can take my seedlings out and I can line them up out here on the regular shelving inside the main greenhouse. So it's an easy transition from a protected area that keeps, you know, the seedlings warm at night during February, March, and April. And then I can transition them out to here when the nights are warmer. One thing you do want to remember is you're going to want ventilation and air circulation. So I do have some fans that I do hook up in here to move all of that air around. I might need to go back and make my own like ventilation system in here just to prevent any issues possibly with mold. I don't want the air to get stagnant in here, even though I have fans to circulate the air. I also might need some ventilation options. So I'm gonna think about that and see how creative I can get. And I'm also gonna kind of see how this ends up working out as is first. So if you have any suggestions on kind of going in and creating your own little maybe cross ventilation inside of a portable greenhouse, that would be super helpful. I don't want to just cut a hole in this thing and ruin it. So I have to think things out first if I would decide to do that. Under here I do have a surge protector that is safe to be used within this portable greenhouse. I don't have everything plugged in there yet because I'm still getting things set up, and I will likely move this to a safe place so any water that might, drip down from seedling trays wouldn't drip right onto my power strip. And that I can plug in the heat mats, the lights, and then I'll have a separate one that I'll use for the heater alone. One other thing in here that we do have is a Govee. And I don't know if you've seen these before, but they're super handy. This you can link up to your phone through an app, and it monitors your temperature and humidity within whatever area you have it. So if it gets too cold, too hot, anything in here, I can set up alerts on my phone to let me know, hey, your seedlings are going to be toast in a couple minutes because it's too brutally hot inside that portable greenhouse. Or your seedlings are going to be frozen popsicles. It's way too cold. It helps me to monitor temperature within the greenhouse so I can get it to a spot where it just works well. I can set my heater to appropriate temperatures at night or during the day to help maintain kind of an even temperature for my seedlings in here. In this greenhouse, it's not efficient yet for us to heat the entire greenhouse for the seedlings. I do have a propane heater over here, and it does heat this whole greenhouse, and it does a fantastic job. So if I'm in here working and it's really cold outside, I can put on the propane heater over there, start it up, and then just turn it off when I'm done. Right now, we don't have this whole greenhouse insulated to the point where it is efficient and would actually be able to keep the temperatures up even at night when it dips below freezing. So that's the reason we really needed a portable greenhouse within a greenhouse for starting seedlings during the winter months. So in just a few weeks, I will be starting our first round of seeds. I'll be starting with our onions, some lavender. So I will have everything set up in here ready to go. I will be testing out my heater, the lights. I'll make sure everything is set. So when I do go to put the seeds in there, it's at the right temperature and I know things are working properly. Might get maybe a few more bricks to complete the floor in there, but honestly, as long as things in there are stable and safe, I am happy. It may not look the prettiest, but it looks a lot better than my setup last year. So I'm pretty happy. And for the price that I paid for the supplies and items I repurposed, it just works out really well. Last year overall, even the hodgepodge system I had set up with the greenhouse plastic and the PVC, it really worked well. The only thing I ran into for issues was with my peppers. And as you know, I start my peppers in February. It's still really cold. Peppers like heat. And at that time, I wasn't monitoring the heat enough. And at night, I think it would just get a little too cold in there, even though it would be like 50. I think sometimes it would dip down to just below 50. And I don't think the peppers liked it. And I ended up needing to bring them inside back into the basement, which I was trying to avoid. We didn't want to have all the dirt and the seedlings back inside the house. that was the purpose of this greenhouse, to control the insanity that is starting seeds and stuff like that. So honestly, that was the biggest issue last year, was just making sure that I had an appropriate temperature and microclimate for the bell peppers, hot peppers. So this year I am going to troubleshoot and make sure that that's more successful. So that's a big goal of mine. As the second year using a setup like this, I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to work out even better than last year. I've learned from my mistakes last year. The tools I have in place and the knowledge I have, I think this is going to work out really well. So I'm excited to get this thing filled with my seedlings and get my hands dirty. Hopefully this was helpful and it gives you maybe another idea. Even if you don't have a regular greenhouse, maybe you can do a similar setup in your garage or your basement. Kind of have your own, special space for putting all your seedlings. And, if you have any suggestions, if you already have a setup like this and you have some tips or tricks on how it has worked for you, or maybe things I should change or consider, let me know in the comments. And I'm super grateful for any and all feedback and tips, because that's how we all learn. And like I always say, I'm learning as I go. So thank you all so much again for joining me today, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.